Hi everyone, it's Dan here. In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can accumulate massive retirement savings. I'll cover four main topics. Number one, what type of retirement account should you open? Number two, should you use a Roth or a traditional type of retirement account? Number three, what type of investment should you choose in your retirement account? And number four, at what age should you start saving for retirement? If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button to see more videos. My name is Dan. I'm a business school professor focused on accounting and finance. And the purpose of this channel is to help you build wealth through saving and investing. So when we talk about saving for retirement, the first thing to consider is what type of retirement account to open. You'll definitely want to put your money into a retirement account for tax reasons, which we'll discuss in a minute. So here are your choices. Your employer will either offer a 401k plan, a 403b plan, or maybe a 457b plan. If they don't offer any of these options, or if you're self-employed, you can still open an IRA. All of the plans have a few things in common. The first thing is tax savings. So when you contribute money to a retirement account, you get to save money on taxes. So let's say you have taxable income of $50,000 and you're in the 25% tax bracket. If you contribute $8,000 to your retirement account, you get to reduce your taxable income down to $42,000. Given the 25% tax bracket you're in, that's going to result in an immediate savings of $2,000. The second thing all retirement accounts have in common is that your money grows tax-free. So typically, if you earn interest, dividends, or you have a capital gain on the stock you sold, you pay taxes on that. However, in a retirement account, you do not have to pay any taxes until the point at which you withdraw the money. The only exception to this rule is the Roth account, which we'll cover in a minute. How do the options differ? Well, with an individual retirement account or an IRA, your contribution limit is going to be much lower compared to the other options. For example, in 2020, the maximum you can contribute to your IRA is $6,000, $7,000 if you're age 50 or older. The contribution limit for the other accounts is $19,500 this year. So if you have more money you want to put away into the account, you're probably better off with your employer's plan. The second major difference between IRAs and the other options is that your employer-based plans like 401k, 403b, or 457b are typically going to offer employer matching. What this means is that your employer will put money into your retirement account for free as long as you put in at least that much. So let's say you earn $100,000 and your employer has a 5% matching plan. What this means is that they will put $5,000 into your retirement account every year for free as long as you put in at least that much. IRAs do not have any matching. So far, IRAs do not sound very appealing, but they do have one advantage, and that is freedom of choice of investment. So with IRAs, you get to pick individual stocks, individual bonds. You can invest your money into anything. This is not going to be the case with your employer-sponsored plans. Most employers are going to partner with a financial services company like Prudential, Fidelity, maybe TIAA, Kraft, or someone else. And these people are going to offer you just a limited number of funds to put your money in. Now, I'm not saying these funds are bad. It's just that there's only a few choices. Now, the last difference among the accounts is that 457b plans are a little different than the rest of them. All the other plans, the 401k, 403b, and the IRA, typically charge a 10% fee for withdrawing money before you're 59 and a half years old. The 457b plan has no penalty. So if you feel like you're going to retire earlier than that age, this might be the plan for you. In addition, the IRS does make a few exceptions, like medical emergencies, where you can take money out of your retirement account without a penalty. So what's the conclusion? Well, I think most people are going to be better off with their employer's plan just because of the matching. It's hard to beat free money. Okay, second topic, Roth IRAs. So far, every account we've discussed is a traditional retirement account where the money you put in today results in immediate tax savings and you're taxed later on your withdrawals. There is another option, the Roth IRA. Now, some employers even offer Roth versions of their 401k or 403b. So read into that. Your employer might offer a 401k and a Roth 401k. You want to understand the difference. With the Roth account, you do not get to save taxes right away on money you put in. But as a reward for this, you pay zero taxes on all of your withdrawals from the account. Is this better? Well, it depends. The further away you are from your retirement age, the more sense it makes to use a Roth account if you have a choice. In fact, in my personal opinion, if you're under the age of 50, it almost always makes sense to go with a Roth account. The reason is that money you put into the account today will end up growing tremendously over time. For example, if you're able to get an average of 7% return on your investment, every single dollar you put in today will grow to be $15 40 years from now. So while it's tempting to say like, okay, I'm going to save, for example, 25 cents of taxes on that dollar I put in today, you got to think about the long run. It's going to turn into $15, and how much taxes can you save on that? Once you've picked your retirement account, the next thing to consider is what to invest your money in. You can invest in stocks, bonds, real estate, oil, gold, silver, a variety of things. While precious metals like gold and silver have appreciated considerably in value over time, their returns have really paled in comparison to returns on the stock market. So if you look at this chart, if you bought $1 worth of gold 100 years ago, it would have turned into roughly $10,000 today, which is quite impressive. But if you would put that same dollar into the stock market, it would have turned into $50,000. Another option to consider is bonds. A bond is essentially an IOU that you collect interest on. You can buy bonds from the federal government, state and local government, those are called municipal bonds, or even corporate bonds. Anyone that borrows money issues bonds. Owning a diversified bond portfolio can provide you with a stable source of income. Like gold and silver, the returns on bonds are going to be much lower than the returns on the stock market. That leaves us with stocks, which historically have produced an annualized real return of 8.41%. What I mean by a real return is that this is the return after accounting for inflation. If you're interested in more detail on where I got this number, I'm putting a link to an Excel file which shows you the data for this. If you notice, the assets which earn the highest returns, being stocks, are also the riskiest. This is one of the basic laws of finance. So while stocks will give you the highest returns on average, you have to consider the variance of them. So when you look at this chart of the S&P 500, which is essentially 500 of the top companies in the United States, look at where the chart was in 1955 and see where it ended up in 1975. Basically, it didn't go anywhere. So that's a 20-year period where if you had put a lot of money in 1955, you would not have earned hardly anything 20 years later. Also, if we look further along the timeline, if you look at the dot-com bubble of 2000 and the financial crisis of 2008, you see that if you put money in the year 2000, you basically went nowhere for about 14 years. Even over periods as long as 14 or 20 years, it's entirely possible for stocks to return nothing. Because of this, I recommend that as you get older, you move some of your money out of stocks and put it into bonds. Yes, you're earning a lower return on average, but you cannot afford to gamble with your retirement savings when you're so close to retirement age. For people in their 20s or 30s, they can certainly afford to keep 100% of their money invested in the stock market. If the market goes down, they have plenty of time to recover those losses. A few final points. Whatever you do, diversify your investments. Owning stock in just 2 or 4 companies puts you at tremendous risk. There's no reason to do that. By investing your money in many different assets, you'll never earn the highest return, but it's also extremely unlikely that you're going to lose it all. Finally, I want to talk about the fees on funds, being mutual funds. So mutual funds, ETFs, even index funds, they all charge fees. And for a lot of you guys, you're going to go with your employer-based plan. You're not going to be able to choose individual stocks. You're going to have to choose among these funds. My advice is to pay careful attention to the fees they charge. If management is charging a 1.5% fee just to choose the investments for that fund, you are going to have a very hard time overcoming that because you're already starting off every year at negative 1.5%. Okay, guys, final topic. At what age should you start saving for retirement? My answer is as soon as humanly possible. Sooner if you can. Let me illustrate my point. Let's say you're going to have a 40-year career and you decide to put away $10,000 in your retirement account every year for the first 10 years. And after that, you decide to completely stop contributing. If you're able to earn an 8% return on your investments, at the end of the 40-year period, you're going to have close to $1.5 million in the account. Now compare that to a different scenario. Let's suppose you have the same 40-year career, but you contribute nothing to your account for the first 20 years. Okay, after 20 years, you start to realize, well, I really need to catch up on this. You contribute double. You contribute $20,000 to your account every year. And you keep this up for the last 20 years of your career. So in the end, you end up contributing $400,000 compared to the first scenario where you only contributed $100,000. Now my question is, how much money do you think you're going to end up with at the end? Well, if you earn an 8% return, you're going to only have $900,000 at the end. So I hope this example illustrates the power of compound interest. The higher the return on your investment, the more powerful the effects of compound interest. If you're able to earn an 8% return on your investment, every dollar you put into the investment account today will become $4.66 after 20 years. After 40 years, it will be $21. This is a massive difference, and it illustrates the point that compound interest has exponential growth. It is not linear. So you really need the extra years to let it grow. So what do you guys think? What kind of retirement account are you going to open? Let me know in the chat. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up.